Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you this: what does it mean to truly fall in love? To some, it's a moment of passion. To others, it's a journey, an adventure that challenges everything you thought you knew about yourself. But if you want to understand how a man truly falls in love, you need to understand the journey inside his heart. First, it starts with vulnerability. We all know the stories. We've all heard the men who say, "I don't need anyone." The walls they put up are meant to protect, to guard against the hurt of the past. But true love never comes from a place of fear. It comes when a man is willing to let go of his pride, to lay down his armor, and to be vulnerable. It is when he allows himself to feel deeply. When he opens up in a way he hasn't before, that's when love begins to take root. It's not about being weak, it's about being strong enough to say, "I trust you with my heart." Second, let's talk about respect and admiration. Love isn't about just wanting someone, it's about respecting them. It's about seeing someone for who they truly are and realizing that in their presence you become a better version of yourself. It's that spark, that connection where a man sees in someone not just beauty or charm, but depth. A man falls in love when he admires the way someone thinks, the way they care for others, the way they stand firm in who they are. Love comes when you look at someone and say, "I want to be a part of your world." Then there's emotional depth. Love is not a surface level thing. It's easy to be caught up in fleeting emotions, to chase after a moment of excitement. But true love is built on understanding. It's about the long nights, the deep conversations, the moments when two souls connect and become one. Men fall in love when they understand that love isn't about what you can take, it's about what you can give. It's not just about receiving affection, but offering it in return. It's in those moments of mutual support, of emotional growth, that love finds its strength. And finally, there comes a point in every man's life when he has that moment of realization. He knows, deep in his soul, that the person standing in front of him isn't just a passing fancy. She is his partner. She is the one who completes him, who challenges him, who stands by him when the world seems to be falling apart. It's in that moment that everything changes. A man falls in love when he realizes that he can't imagine life without that person by his side. It's not just a feeling, it's a commitment, a promise to stand together through whatever comes. So remember this, love isn't some fairy tale. It's not something that happens by chance or luck. It's something that grows when you give yourself the courage to be vulnerable, to respect and admire the other person, to build a connection that runs deep, and to have the strength to make the commitment to love, no matter the obstacles. Men fall in love when they stop being afraid of the unknown, when they step into the light and realize that sometimes the greatest adventure of all is finding someone to share your life with. Thank you. Love begins in a place that many fear to vulnerability. For a man, vulnerability is often the hardest wall to break down, as it requires shedding layers of pride, ego, and past hurts. The societal pressure to be strong, independent, and stoic often makes it difficult for men to admit that they too need someone to share their lives with. Vulnerability doesn't come naturally to everyone, especially in a world that sometimes equates strength with emotional detachment. Yet it is only in the space of vulnerability that love can truly flourish. When a man falls in love, he is choosing to let go of control, to step outside of his comfort zone, and to open himself up in ways that expose his deepest fears, desires, and insecurities. He is saying, "I trust you enough to show you the parts of myself I've hidden even from myself." It takes immense courage to be vulnerable. It's a willingness to be raw and authentic, to let go of the protective armor that has shielded him from past emotional wounds. In relationships, vulnerability is often seen as a weakness, but in truth, it is one of the strongest actions a person can take. It's important to understand that vulnerability does not mean weakness. It's the ability to embrace who you are in all your imperfections and open yourself to another person without fear of rejection or judgment. Many men have been conditioned to believe that expressing emotions, whether it's fear, sadness, or even affection, is a sign of weakness. The real strength is found in allowing oneself to be seen. When a man opens up, when he reveals his struggles and his dreams, it creates a connection that goes beyond the surface. It creates a space where love can grow, where both people are free to be their true selves. In relationships, vulnerability is the bridge that allows emotional intimacy to develop. A man may not recognize it immediately, but when he starts to let go of his emotional barriers, something magical happens. The more he shares his thoughts, his fears, and his desires, the closer he grows to the person he's with. There is an unspoken understanding that is built when two people open their hearts to each other. A man falls in love when he realizes that he doesn't have to be perfect, that he doesn't have to have all the answers. He begins to understand that being loved means being accepted for exactly who he is, flaws and all. Vulnerability is not something that can be forced. It takes time. A man won't suddenly pour out his soul on the first date, nor will he immediately trust someone with his deepest thoughts. But love has a way of breaking down even the toughest walls. Over time, as trust is built and mutual respect is earned, a man begins to feel safe enough to reveal more of himself. It might start with small moments, sharing a childhood memory, admitting a fear or a mistake, or simply asking for help. These small acts of vulnerability serve as the foundation for deeper emotional connection. The more he shares, the more he feels understood, the more he starts to realize that he can be vulnerable without fearing judgment or abandonment. When a man falls in love, he does so with the understanding that the person he loves will accept him, not just in his moments of triumph, but in his moments of doubt. Vulnerability allows both individuals to see each other as they truly are without pretense. It's about being willing to be uncomfortable, to be open to the unknown, to be honest even when it feels scary. When a man gives himself permission to be vulnerable, he gives the person he loves the gift of seeing the real him, without the mask of strength or pride. And in turn, the person he loves is given the opportunity to connect with him in a way that goes beyond mere attraction or admiration. Love is built on the foundation of trust, and vulnerability is the cornerstone of that trust. The more a man opens himself to love, the more he is able to experience the full spectrum of what it means to be in a relationship, the joy, the challenges, the growth, and the deep connection that comes from sharing life with someone who accepts you as you are. It's in these moments of vulnerability that a man realizes the truth about love. Love is not just about finding someone to share your successes with, but someone who is willing to stand by you in your struggles, someone who will support you when you are at your lowest and celebrate you when you rise again. Vulnerability teaches him that love is not about perfection, but about being present with each other, regardless of life's imperfections. In those moments of shared vulnerability, a man understands that love is not a weakness, it's the truest form of strength. It's about opening your heart, letting someone in, and trusting them with your most authentic self. It's through this vulnerability that true love begins to take root and grow. A man falls in love not just because of physical attraction, but because he respects and admires the person standing before him. Respect is the foundation upon which all meaningful relationships are built. Without respect, love cannot thrive. It is through respect that a man is able to see beyond superficial appearances and appreciate the essence of the person he is with. True admiration comes when a man recognizes qualities in another that resonate with his own values, beliefs, and aspirations. It's not just the beauty that catches his eye, but the spirit, the integrity, and the strength of character that truly captivate him. Respect goes far beyond just the words spoken or the acts of kindness shown. It's an internal recognition of the value of another person. When a man respects someone, he sees them as equal, worthy of love and admiration in every way. Respect isn't earned through perfection, but through authenticity. It is in the moments when a person reveals their true self, their vulnerabilities, their passions, and their flaws, that the deepest admiration is formed. A man falls in love with someone, not because they fit into a specific mold of perfection, but because they stand in their own power, unapologetically. They command his respect not because of what they do for him, but because of who they are. Admiration goes hand in hand with respect. It's the quiet acknowledgement that the person he's with possesses qualities that are not only attractive, but admirable. It's the way she handles adversity with grace, the way she treats others with kindness, the way she stands up for what she believes in, even when it's hard. A man falls in love with the depth of someone's character, with the way they inspire him to be a better version of himself. When a man admires someone, it's not just their external beauty that captures his attention, but the strength of their mind, the passion in their heart, and the integrity in their actions. There's something magnetic about a person who is confident in who they are, someone who doesn't feel the need to seek validation from others. It's in these moments of authenticity and self-assurance that admiration flourishes. A man may fall in love when he realizes that the person in front of him doesn't need to impress anyone, they are simply themselves, and that is enough. The more he respects and admires her, the more he is drawn in. It's not just about being attracted to someone, but about recognizing that they possess qualities that make them stand out from the crowd. It's a recognition that they have something rare, something special that is worth cherishing. For a man, falling in love with someone goes beyond just the way she looks or the way she makes him feel. It's about the way she challenges him to grow, the way she questions his assumptions, pushes him out of his comfort zone, and helps him see the world in new and different ways. Respect and admiration are the fuel for this kind of growth. A man falls in love when he sees the potential in someone, when he recognizes that they complement each other in ways that go beyond mere attraction. There is a sense of partnership, of mutual understanding, and of shared values that deepens over time. He respects her not only for her accomplishments, but for her strength, her resilience, and her ability to love deeply and unconditionally. In relationships, respect also involves listening. It's the ability to truly hear the other person, to understand their thoughts, feelings, and perspectives without judgment or dismissal. When a man respects a woman, he doesn't just hear her words, he listens to her heart. He values her opinions and her thoughts. even when they differ from his own. It's in these moments of active listening, of truly paying attention, that admiration deepens. A man who admires the woman he loves doesn't just see her as a partner in life. He sees her as an equal, someone whose voice matters just as much as his own. In the quiet moments of admiration, a man starts to realize that love isn't just about being in a relationship, but about honoring the person he's with. It's about treating them with dignity, with care, and with respect. He understands that love requires effort, not just in the grand gestures, but in the everyday moments. Respect and admiration are not one-time actions, they are ongoing. They are shown in the way he supports her dreams, the way he cherishes her thoughts, the way he stands by her side through every challenge, and the way he celebrates her successes as his own. When a man falls in love, it's because he respects the woman he's with on a deep, emotional level. He admires the way she carries herself, the way she loves others, and the way she handles life's difficulties. This respect and admiration don't diminish over time, they grow stronger. The more he admires her, the more he is drawn to her, not just for what she can do for him, but for the person she is. Love, in its truest form, is built on a foundation of respect and admiration, and it is in these qualities that a man truly falls in love. A man falls in love when he realizes that love is not simply about what someone can do for him, but about what he can do for the person he loves. Love, at its core, is a mutual exchange, a commitment to grow, support, and nurture one another. It's about understanding that both partners contribute to the emotional landscape of the relationship, not just by receiving love, but by offering it in equal measure. Emotional depth is what transforms a connection from a fleeting attraction into something that lasts. A man who falls in love understands that true love requires effort, patience, and understanding. It requires both people to look beyond their own needs and prioritize the emotional well-being of each other. When a man begins to love, he often enters into it with a desire to be seen, to be understood, and to be cared for. But as the relationship deepens, he realizes that love isn't just about his own needs, it's about the needs of the person he loves. He becomes more attuned to her emotions, her desires, and her struggles. The journey of love involves learning how to meet each other where you are, even when the other person's needs are different from your own. This requires empathy, the ability to step into someone else's shoes and see the world through their eyes. Emotional depth in a relationship isn't about being perfect or always knowing the right thing to say or do. It's about showing up, being present, and offering support no matter what. In a relationship where emotional depth thrives, a man begins to realize the true meaning of partnership. He understands that love is not just a momentary feeling of affection, but a continual act of giving and receiving. The deeper the emotional connection, the more he becomes invested in his partner's happiness, growth, and well-being. The relationship evolves into something that isn't defined by superficial attractions or fleeting moments, but by a shared commitment to build something lasting and meaningful together. A man who falls in love understands that love requires vulnerability and openness. It requires the courage to face the unknowns of the future while still offering his heart fully. Emotional depth is also a recognition that love doesn't come without challenges. It's not always easy, and it's not always smooth. There will be moments of doubt, misunderstandings, and difficult conversations. But in these moments, the emotional strength of the relationship is tested. A man falls in love when he realizes that true love isn't about avoiding conflict, but about learning how to navigate it together. It's in the hard times, the moments of tension or disagreement, that love is truly solidified. A man who loves deeply knows that conflict is an opportunity to understand each other more fully, to grow closer, and to strengthen the foundation they built. It's not just about solving problems, it's about facing them as a team, supporting one another through the difficulty, and emerging from it stronger and more united. One of the most profound aspects of emotional depth in a relationship is the ability to support each other's growth. A man falls in love when he recognizes that his partner is not just someone to be cared for, but someone to grow with. Love is a shared journey of personal evolution. He begins to realize that the person he loves is evolving, changing, and becoming more of who they are meant to be, and he plays a vital role in nurturing that process. Emotional depth comes from the understanding that love is not about changing each other, but about accepting and encouraging each other's growth. A man in love supports his partner's dreams, helps her face her fears, and celebrates her achievements. He's not just her partner in good times, but her partner in becoming the best version of herself. In this emotionally deep connection, a man also begins to learn how to balance his own needs with the needs of the person he loves. It's not about sacrificing one's identity or losing oneself in the relationship. Rather, it's about finding a way to weave both individuals' desires, goals, and dreams into a shared tapestry. Emotional depth comes when both partners understand that their love for one another doesn't mean the erasure of individual identities, but rather the celebration of those identities within the relationship. A man in love starts to see the value in both supporting his own growth, while also nurturing the growth of the woman he loves. A relationship based on emotional depth is also marked by an ability to be vulnerable with each other, to share fears, insecurities, and aspirations. It's in these moments of shared openness that the connection strengthens. A man in love is no longer afraid to reveal his inner world, his struggles, his uncertainties, his dreams. He knows that his partner will accept him, not for the things he does or the roles he plays, but for who he is at his core. Emotional depth allows both people to shed the armor they've worn in the outside world and show their true selves. It's in this space of openness and acceptance that love grows. A man falls in love when he realizes that his vulnerability is met with compassion, not judgment, and that his love for his partner is reflected in the love she has for him. Ultimately, love's emotional depth is what makes a relationship transformative. It is what turns a connection into a partnership, a fleeting attraction into a deep, lasting bond. A man who falls in love understands that love is about more than just receiving affection. It's about giving, growing, and being present for each other in every moment, whether in joy or sorrow, challenge or triumph. It's the emotional depth that gives love its richness, its texture, and its power to withstand the tests of time. A man often doesn't realize he's in love until a profound moment of realization washes over him, a quiet yet undeniable truth that settles deep within. It's a moment when he suddenly knows, without question, that this person, this woman, is the one he wants by his side, not just for a moment, but for the long haul. It's not a fleeting emotion or a temporary feeling. It's a deep, undeniable knowing that changes everything. This realization is often subtle but powerful. It may come in the most unexpected moments, when she laughs, when she shares a personal story, when she supports him through a difficult time. In these quiet, everyday moments, love quietly takes root and grows into something unshakable. It's in these moments of clarity that a man understands that love is not just about being in the same room or sharing good times together. It's about the thought of not having that person in his life that becomes unbearable. It's the thought that he can't imagine his world without them. It's the simple act of waking up next to them, sharing mundane moments, or navigating life's challenges together that makes him realize how deeply his life has changed. The realization comes not from grand gestures or words, but from the deep connection he feels at every level, emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually. It's in the small, often unnoticed moments that love quietly transforms a man's understanding of his life, making him aware that he's no longer just living for himself, but for both of them. A man may fall in love slowly, with no dramatic epiphany, but over time he begins to notice how his thoughts begin to revolve around this person. He starts thinking about her when he's not with her. He starts making decisions, big or small, with her in mind. It's in the way he starts planning a future that includes her, imagining the life they could build together. It's not a sudden moment of clarity, but a gradual shift in perspective where he begins to realize that he doesn't just enjoy her presence, he craves it. Her absence starts to feel like a void, and when she's near, he feels a sense of peace, contentment, and belonging. This feeling is often the moment a man realizes he's in love, not just when she makes him happy, but when she becomes a central part of his life and vision for the future. For some men, the realization of love may come after facing a challenge or hardship together. It's when they see how the person they love stands by their side, unshaken and committed, even when things aren't easy. It's in these moments of vulnerability, when life's difficulties test the foundation of their relationship, that love reveals itself in its truest form. A man may not fully realize how much he loves someone until he faces hardship and sees her unwavering support. Her loyalty, patience, and care during times are what truly cement the love he feels. These challenges can be the catalyst that sparks his understanding of how deeply his life is intertwined with hers. It's in weathering storms together that love evolves from something transient to something permanent. The realization of love can also be triggered by the way a man begins to envision his life. The person he's with becomes not just a partner, but a companion in every sense of the word. He can see them growing old together, sharing memories, building a family, or simply being together through all the phases of life. It's a quiet certainty that comes with time. He begins to see her as a central, irreplaceable part of his future. The thought of a life without her feels incomplete, and that's when the reality of love settles in. It's no longer a feeling of uncertainty or doubt, but a solid understanding that she is the person with whom he wants to share every moment of his life, the one with whom he wants to face both the highs and lows. This realization also marks a shift in a man's sense of self. When he falls in love, he starts to understand that love is not just about the individual self, but about becoming part of something larger. It's about the partnership, the shared experiences, and the journey they will take together. A man begins to feel that his own growth, happiness, and success are intertwined with hers. He no longer views himself as separate or independent in the way he once did. Instead, he sees his life as part of a greater whole, one that includes her dreams, her goals, and her happiness. This is the moment when love becomes less about selfish desire and more about shared aspirations, joint growth, and mutual support. The realization of love doesn't always come in dramatic bursts. It's often a quiet, steady awareness that creeps into a man's heart when he least expects it. It might come during a shared moment of laughter or a simple conversation about life. It might come during a time of struggle when the two of them come together stronger than before. The realization that he's in love is not necessarily marked by a grand declaration or an overwhelming sense of emotion. It's often an inner knowing that he's ready to face the future together with the person he loves, no matter what comes. It's not a single moment, but a collection of experiences that slowly, steadily, and irrevocably confirm the depth of the love he feels. When a man realizes he's in love, it changes everything. It shifts his perspective on life, on relationships, and on what truly matters. It's the moment when he knows deep in his heart that this person is not just someone he's with, but someone he will continue to walk beside through the trials, joys, and challenges of life. This realization solidifies the foundation of love, turning it from something fragile and tentative into something steadfast, secure, and enduring. It's in this moment that a man understands that love is not just an emotion. It's a commitment to another person, to a future together, and to a shared life of growth, connection, and unwavering support.